Hi, everyone. Today we're going to go over how I created an escape room based off of Charlie Mackesy's book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, and how I was able to change the background color, how I was able to change the fonts, how I was able to embed Instagram posts into here, and a couple of other fun things with Documate, which is a no code platform, as my base, and then just a tiny bit of code here and there. So, first of all, I'll just say that Charlie Mackesy is an incredible artist, and his work has really, really touched me. That I just felt that it was important that people knew about him, and I thought it would be a fun way to introduce people to his work. So, this is his Instagram, and he is really, really known for this book, but he was doing a lot of really amazing work before this as well. So, now he has an animated film out. With the BBC, and I'm really, really happy for his success. So this is the book, the original, and then this is the animated story, and he's got lots of other things as well. So let's get into the actual build itself. So I just wanted this to be a fun way to demonstrate a couple of things that you can do with Documate that I haven't really seen people do, and I want people to feel open and able to explore trying different things. So we're going to get into the build. If you go over to your workflows in Documate, it's super easy to create a new one. You just say create a new workflow and then you give it a name. So I'm going to say Charlie Mackesy. This is just going to be test. So all you have to do is if you were going to make this into any type of page, you can just quickly do that by making something on the page, clicking save, and then running, and then you have something to kind of work off of automatically. So in our case, I wanted to kind of take you through a little bit of a story and a journey and questions and answers and things like that. So here we have first, because the book starts with the boy and the mole together, where the boy is sitting down and the mole is coming out of a little of the ground, and the boy looks at him and says, "Hello." And this is kind of a special version, but I just wanted to demonstrate the point of how to get an Instagram post inside of your build. So in order to do that, you just go over to Instagram and choose the post that you like. So let's say that we wanted to do this one, which says, "Imagine how we would be if we were less afraid." And I just love that. But you just go over up to these three dots here, and if you actually read these through these ones, you see that there's an embed. So if we just copy that embed code, we can go over to our build and we can do any type of block. Really, you could put it into a different block as well, but let's just use an instruction block. And in the case of mine that you see over here. So this is how that came out, like this. Now, if you notice in my build, I don't have a top part. And the reason for that is I put that big, long, crazy thing, I put that up actually in here. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to demonstrate and illustrate a point that this top part, which is technically for like a header, can also be used as an editor, you could say. You can like bend it, and you can really play with what you put up here. So now I have a cleaner top, and when I go down to the bottom, it looks like a nice bar actually at the bottom. So you can do a lot in there just in that one top part. You could have a whole page where it's just the top part. And I nearly did in this case because I wanted there to be like a nice little divider between the post and what I was going to say about the escape room. So, with that, you'll also see in this particular build that I made the background color and the font different inside of that top part here. So, if we go to what I actually was doing for this particular one into the dashboard, I called this one, "If you find this room, it's for you." And that's because Charlie would write in some of the books, or some, he might still do this, but he would write in the books, "If you find this book, it's for you, and I hope you're okay," which is just so sweet. I just love that. But the point I wanted to make here with this one is that you can actually just have this tiny bit of code right here in front of the big, long, crazy thing from Instagram. So if we go to Charlie Mackesy test, and we look at it, right now the background is white, and we don't have any text really except for continue. But we can just add something on the bottom here. So if we add question and say instruction, and we say like, this is a test, this is a test, then all we really have to do is come up here to the top and say Command V to copy and paste that. And if we look at this actually from this perspective, it will be easier to see. So what we're really just saying, if we come to where this opens and closes, so there's an opening of a body, because the point I wanted to make actually in this section is, if we have it in a regular like VS Code file and we're creating this from scratch, what's happening is you have different parts of an HTML document, or like a website, you could say, or however you want to put this. You have the head. So you have like the doc type HTML, which is the bigger part. So if we break it into sections, because this will help explain why you're able to do this. So there's 3 kind of sections, right? So there's this doc type HTML, and then you have that closing here. And then you're giving information about the language that it's in. So I guess you could say there's 4 parts. So you have this doc type HTML, and then you have HTML here. Then you say the language is English, and then you're saying in the head, which is kind of just some metadata. So you have like these different pieces that you don't necessarily have to worry about too much. They're pretty standard here, but you can change a couple of things here as well and add a few things more. This title is actually the title that comes up here at the top, Charlie Mackesy test. So if we look at Documate, what this is actually a parallel to, as an editor, you could say, is it's saying your title here, you can put that here, and that's the title of the web page. And then if we look back at our little thing here, so we already have that part taken care of. So what it's also saying then is we've already taken care of this other part for you, kind of thing. Like it's saying that this is already taken care of for you. And all you have to focus on is what you want to have go in here in the body. So we have the head here, title comes here, and then we have the body, which is the body of the page, which is this middle part. And so we're just saying, Documate is basically saying, what would you like to go in here? Because we'll take care of the rest. So if you think about it that way, you can actually get pretty creative. So what I was saying is, I know that this is the body of the page, and I know that I can style the body of the page using this style, and then quotes, and then so on. But the other point is, I was going to say, is normally what you would do, and what you still can do in Documate, by the way, is you say, normally you do CSS up here at the top, and you would do it something like this, where you would say like the body, and then you say curly braces, and then you give it something like background, background color is blue, or you can do the hex codes for it or whatever else. And then it's referring to anything that would be here in the body is going to be blue, or like the background color of the body is blue. So this is referring to this part here, and then this is giving it a color. Now, you can do that as well. Like if I take that code like this and I put that into here, it will work and it will change the color to, if I say just this, style, body, background color, blue, we run it, it will be blue. So that's one thing to note anyway, is that you can do it this way. You could also do it another way, which is that you can do HTML directly inside of the body element. So if you prefer to write things this way, then you can. But if you prefer to write it in a easier way, then that works too. So in my case, I chose to write it like this, directly inside of this body tag or element. And so when I did it, I did, let's go back to our thing here. I did body. So if we look here, I did body. So I took this part, which is all of the body of the page. And then I said, I want you to style it like this. I want you to have a background color of this hex code, and I'll show you how I got that particular one in a moment. And also, I'd like you to make the font family Comic Sans MS cursive. And also, I'd like you to make the color of the text white. And then I want you to stop doing that. So that's how you read what this is saying. So I have 3 things happening here. Well, you could say a couple things, but I'm telling the computer, this is the body of the page that I'm referring to, or I'm referring to the body of the page. I'd like you to style it in this color and have the font be in this color or in this style. And I'd also like you to make it white for all of the text. So that's how you read it. And in our case, because we're only just referring to the body of the page, there doesn't actually have to be anything inside of it because we're talking about the whole thing. So that's how you can make it to where it's like this. So I'm going to run that. And now we have it to where it looks like the one that I did, where I have this pretty blue and then I have white text and that particular font as well as the font on the buttons. And it will do that on all of the pages like this. Now, one thing to note is that you do have to specifically address the headers for these, which you can do pretty easily as well. But I will address that in turn. So that's just to show you, like normally you would put it up here and you can write it that way if you'd like to. But if you would like to do it a little bit easier, you can also do it this way. And either way will work, as you could see. So that's just to give you the kind of that comparison of how you would do it from scratch, how you can do it in here, and then how you can do it in a hybrid way, which is how, if you notice in this particular one, in our test one, there's a bar here at the top, which you could keep if you wanted to have it. And you can see that the font has also changed here and here. And when you go down, it looks like this as well. But if you wanted to have the header to go away, for example, you can actually combine the pre-done, you can like layer CSS on top of each other. So in one particular case is you're kind of changing the default. For example, if you go to, let's say you go to Documate's Learning Center and you say add custom CSS or styling, they have done some custom styles that you can use. So there's these different ones, and then you can layer on more CSS on top of it. So what I like to do sometimes depends on if I want my build to have someone who can sign in or not. But I like to use this one that says no header. Just because when I like to do it like this, I want there to be no header. So I want it to kind of start at the top. So like, for example, in this case, I don't want there to be anything at the top. I just want it to be its own standalone page that someone can interact with. So if we take the if we take the link that we just got here to make it to where that header goes away, and we go to settings and we go to change style with custom CSS, then you can paste that into here and it will automatically upload. And then when we run it, it's going to change everything. It's going to change the fact that we did a couple things, but you'll see in a moment what else you can do. So let's go next to here. And what I was going to say is we can try running this again. And now we can see that there's the blue that we made. So we're layering CSS. Basically, we've made a new default. So there's already the default if we don't have this. If we don't have any of this, there's a default CSS. And we're just telling the computer we want you to change that. So we're saying, instead of using the default, I'd like you to use this one instead. And when I say this one, when you actually click on this link, it's going to show you the code for it. So this is what I was showing you in VS Code, which is that you have body, and then it's telling, we're giving a command saying, make the margin like this, make the font family this, make the font size this, weight this, blah, blah, blah. So it's referring to all of those different things. So we're specifying which part we want to have be like this, and it's all wrapped in those curly brackets. But in our case, we want the body to also have a different font family, and we want to have a different color, and we want to have a different background color. So we're just going to pinpoint specifically with this code that I was showing you here, that we want you to just keep everything else, but we want you to just change these 3 things. We want you to change the background to, so if we look up here, we're just saying override this color, and override this font family. But keep everything else that you have here, which is long and crazy, because that changes some of the other stuff too. So in my case, I wanted to get the essence of the colors that Charlie uses in his, like in this page, for example. And so I use something called Colorzilla, and Colorzilla allows you, it's just a Chrome extension, to pick a color from a page. So you can just go here and say, you can just click on it and it's copied to the clipboard now. So if I Command V, then it's going to give me the hex code for that. So I just kind of went to this website of his, and then I just did the Colorzilla and picked a color from a page and did it like that. There's also something called CSS Peeper, which is very good as well, which you can also use. I don't know if I have it on this particular one, but that one will show you sort of like all of the fonts on the page. It will show you all the colors, and it will give you the hex codes, and that's a good one as well. I kind of like Colorzilla because it's simple. I just want to pick a color from a page and grab it, and then that's it. But it's up to you. Either way, pick your background color that you want, and then just if we look back at what we were saying, we're saying we want the style to be the background, or you can do background color, and then put that hex code that you just grabbed, put that here with the hashtag, and then just make sure you have a semicolon, even if it's the only thing that you're changing. And then you can close it with the quotes here if you don't want to do anything else. But if you'd like to change the font like we've done here, you just say font family. And then the way that I was able to get the font families is, I think I just Googled like CSS tricks. Yeah, so it's the CSS font families one. But I think I just Googled like CSS font families, and then this one came up. And then I just went to which one that I wanted. So I chose this one, but we can choose something else. Like we could try this one if we wanted to. Just play around with it if you want and see like what you like. Since this one's a test, it doesn't matter how it really comes out because we're just practicing. So this is a different font style. You can see it's changed to this one now. If you like, maybe we can try this one. It's really easy to just change the default, right? Because we were talking about how we're changing the default of underlying whatever the underlying part is. So this one must be similar to the other one then. So anyway, the point is that you can just kind of play with it, and all you have to do is find which one you like and just test it. So this one's kind of cool. It's a little bit more like old-timey, which is kind of fun. So that's one way you can do that as well. So we've changed the background color. Let's go back to our actual one. So we are here. So we've talked about how we were able to take off the top header. We've talked about how we were able to change the background color. We talked about how we were able to change the font. And then also we mentioned that you can change the color of the font by indicating you can just say white in plain language like this, or you can do the hex code for white, which is which you can I think you can actually do only 3 as well, but, it's FFFFFF. So let's say, for example, if we put that here instead of, saying white in plain language, it will still be white. Out of curiosity, because this is how they do it in some of the coding courses I'm taking, so you can still do it with just 3 S as well. Anyway, so that is how you can quickly and easily change the style and color of your page in just a couple of clicks. So you have your custom CSS where you want everything to be changed to be a certain way, and then you just override some of those defaults and change the mandatory rules basically with this tiny bit of code. So that's how you can do that. And then I showed you how you can take an Instagram post and embed it in here by just taking these 3 dots and saying embed, copy embed code, and then pasting that into your either up here if you want to. So in our case, I did that here. And then I had some text on the bottom, so we can leave that there. And made it to where you have just a clean page with an Instagram post and some text on the bottom with a different font. I also, in my end of this part, have this sidebar here. So the sidebar is a progress bar, but it can also just be a label. So I just said hello up here on this part here. And then when we run that one, you'll see this bar on the side. And the font also is here as well. So that's pretty cool. So if we go back over here, let's see what happens next. So when someone clicks on this, they can be taken over to Instagram like that. So I just said, welcome to Escape Room Mackesy, a free online escape room created by Brittany Hernandez using Documate to share the beauty, magic, and heart-changing warmth of Charlie Mackesy's incredible book, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. The boy in the story is searching for home. Can you help him find his way by helping him face the challenges that lie ahead? Continue. So, just quick note about how to make something a link. If you go to your editor in Documate, all you need to do if you wanted this text to be linked, you just use these straight brackets and then parentheses next to it, and then you just grab the link to whatever you want. Let's say this one. And you just copy and paste that into the parentheses. And then when you run that, you'll be able to let's clean this up a little bit. Got a lot of tabs open. So when you run this now, this will be a link that somebody can click. So we have gone through how we've got all the background, the Instagram post, we have this in the header, we have some links, we changed the colors and stuff. Great. Let's continue. So next I want to show you how to quickly put a YouTube video on the top of your page like this that plays automatically in here. So there's multiple ways that you can actually do this. So the first way is, which I would think is like the faster way, but it's fine. It just comes out a little bit differently. So you can share and then just go embed and then just say copy and just paste that in there like that if you want to. But if you want to, so we have that here at the bottom now. But if you want to, there's a second way that you can do this, and there's probably even like third, fourth, fifth ways. There's plenty of ways to do this. But one way you can do this is just put these straight brackets, and then you just say YouTube, like that, in all caps, and then you just actually have to grab the end part of this. So you just grab this part, and you just say copy, and then you put that here. And then when we run that now, we have this here. So it comes out a little bit better in my opinion. It's like bigger and cleaner, and I think it looks like here's the smaller one and here's the bigger one from that different method. But you could also change the size if you use the embed code. It's just less steps, you could say, if you just do it with this straight bracket one. So you use this straight bracket YouTube method and then have the ending of that. So that's one way you can do it, and you can also just use the embed. So that's how I was able to get this YouTube video to embed here up at the top. And my process here, it took a long time to make this, mostly because I wasn't exactly sure like what I wanted the questions to be. But what I ended up doing is I watched this video in full, and then I just based all of my questions off of this video. So when somebody is doing the escape room, they can actually just stay on this page and watch this particular video, which does a really good job of introducing Charlie Mackesy and his personality and his style and his characters and his drawings and his dog. And he's just like a lovely person, and he has all these amazing drawings in here that you'll be able to see. But I wanted to also have the point of this be to help people kind of interact with his work in a fun way. And so I made some questions. So I just said, what does the horse say to the boy to encourage him on his journey? And then I have some help text here. So let's go over each of these really quickly. So I wanted to also demonstrate what each of these different question types look like. So we have on this page, we have a single select, and then we have a drop down, and then we have a multi select, and we have a yes, no, and we have a combo box, and we have, this is actually a number one, and I have a collapse in here as well that I can show you. And then I have just a regular text one. So if we go to the back end of this now, we'll see that actually I put this YouTube video in the top part as well. So what I mean by in the top part is I put that convention that we talked about where we have the straight bracket, YouTube, and then just the ending of that video's URL up here in the top, which would normally be the header, but I just wanted this to be very clean at the top. I didn't want anything up here like text or anything. So that's why you see this divider line here. And then because that's kind of this bottom part, you could say this line is a divider. And then I have a couple of questions. So I have, like I said, I have a single select. So anytime you want to create a new question or a new page, let's make a new page. So I have a new page here. And then, like I said, I made that YouTube convention, whatever, here. So we can just put that here as well. And then when we wanted to add a question like this, we want it to be single select. We just say add question, and then you say single select, and then you give it a variable and tell us what you want to say. So in my case, I said, what does the horse say to the boy to encourage him on his journey? So I put that here in the question title, and I gave it a variable name. So in my case, I said, horse to boy, you are loved. And then I gave some different choices. So we don't have to recreate this all from scratch, but just to point out where these things go. And you can also change the question type here if you're like, oh, I really meant for this to be a multi-select or whatever else. You can also duplicate this, delete it, make it required or not required. You can, well, there's not like a ton of logic right now for this, but because we don't have any variables. But if you wanted to, you could add some logic to it. We can change the settings by adding some help text and have a default value and so on. So in our case, I had there be some settings here by saying the answers to the questions on this page can be found in the video above. So when someone comes, what that looks like on the other side is this little question mark here. So that says the answers to the questions page can be found in the video above. And I made it required and a single select. So I say one step at a time, you can do this. Life is difficult, but you are loved. Home is where the heart is. And then when someone clicks on the wrong answer, I made it to where this one comes up. If at first you don't succeed, have some cake and then a little GIF. So you can easily embed GIFs by going to giphy.com, choosing which one that you like. Let's say we like good morning. You just say embed, make it responsive or not, and then copy that code and put it inside of your builds. So let's get rid of this one for now and make it just an instruction block. So you can just do it like that, and then when you run that, it will have the GIF on the bottom. So when we the way that I was able to make it to where when they have the wrong answer, they get this, and when they have the right answer, they have this one. Well done. To celebrate, I did what any good guide mole would do. I got you a delicious cake. And then I thought that's the same thing. I just grabbed something from here. And then I just put it into one of these. So I have it to where if someone chooses the wrong answers, then they have an instruction block that shows up that is attached to logic that says, show this if this variable here, horse to boy, you are loved, if they've put one step at a time. Then they see this one. And then I made another one and I just duplicated that. One thing to note is when you duplicate something, it adds a little underscore too. So make sure if you don't want that to show that you delete that. And same thing with variables. So if you copy, let's say duplicate this one, then what's going to happen is you're going to have a little underscore 2 at the bottom. So just keep that in mind as well, because it has to have its own unique variable. That's how we're able to quickly refer to things around the workflows is through variables. So that's why they each have to have their own unique variable, even if it's just a difference of an underscore and just an underscore and like a 2 or something. So I just made it to where I have a couple of instruction blocks, each one showing up when a certain condition is met. So show if horse to boy you are loved is home is where the heart is. And for the correct one, I have it to where it shows the correct one. So in the next one, I have the drop down. So what does the horse say has taught him the most? And then same type of thing happens here. When they choose the wrong answer, they get this particular GIF to show up. And when they answer it correctly, that's right. So try not to fear it. The horse. And then what does the horse tell the boy? He should always remember, choose all that apply. You matter, you're important, you are loved, you bring to this world things no one else can. And all of these answers are found in this video. So the person has to just watch the video and pay attention to what's being said in the video, either through words or through the pictures and the writings on the pictures, to answer the questions. So in the same case, we've just kind of applied the same thing here, where if they choose one particular answer, then they see one particular result. So you matter, you are important, you are loved, you bring to this world things no one else can. So they each have their own little character to them. And I think it came out kind of fun. Is the boy's best discovery that he is enough as he is? So this is a yes, no. And then you have the same thing. So this is a yes, no type of question. So when we say question type, we're referring to when you create a new question. This one is a yes, no. So we've used now single select. We've used a drop down. We've used a yes, no. And then what else do we have? Oh, the multi-select. Yeah. So we've used all these different ones, and then we've just attached logic to the question to say, show this if that. And we've just taken the embed code and put that in there. And then in this one, this is a combo box. So a combo box is a combination of a drop down and a text. So we can kind of just type in here, and it also makes it to where somebody can write in their own answer to something. So instead of having to have a whole question that says a single select that says other, and then having logic attached to something that drops down that says what's your other answer, somebody can just type in their other answer right here directly in there, and then that will show up as it would if it had been written out. So let's say we choose the correct or use this one, you are bigger than you know. That's not the right answer. If we choose this one, no. But if we choose this one, then we get you make a huge difference, or we make a difference. So it's just this idea that you can play with each different type of question and attach logic to the things that you want to show or hide if something is a certain condition. Let's go next to this collapse and expand. So I love this little toggle. It's super fun. It's very reminiscent to me of my love for Notion, which is all toggle, toggle, toggle. So if we go over to the Learning Center on Documate.org, you can look up collapse, and it's going to go to formatting questions. So if you come down here to the bottom, it says create a collapsible section of text, an accordion. The following will allow you to create a collapsible section that looks like this. Click to expand. So in my case, I've put expand me and an emoji. So when someone clicks on this, they get this prompt. Which of the following numbers corresponds to what the mole says success is? 1, 2, 3, or 4. To love, to be loved, to have friends, to make it home. And then I use this as a number question type. So if we come down to that one, it looks like this. So let's pull this out and talk about it. If we look at the Documate Help Center, the Documate Help Center is saying have a details on the top and the bottom, and then you can have a summary, and then put your collapse text here. So what we're doing is we're saying, in my case, here are some details that I want you to show. Have a summary on the top, which will have the toggle here that says expand me. And then inside of the details, but under the summary, have a little bit of a space. So BR just means a space. And then I say, which of the following numbers corresponds to what the mole says success is? So that's referring to what's inside of the toggle. And then I want you to have two spaces. And then I want you to say 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you write this actually in the space in the editor here, you need to have a break for each one, which just means put this underneath. And so that's kind of what we're saying here. And it comes out like this. So I'm saying have this be the summary, and then put the details of that here, which of the following numbers corresponds, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can put that inside of the question title for a number question or any type of question that you want, because no matter what you do, this part of the question title serves as a code editor or it's all like no code. You can do so many things, and Documate is intended to be sort of a no code platform. So I just like having the ability to use both. I want to use no code elements, like having this be a block that has logic and I don't have to manually code all of that stuff. But I do like adding in code to have these fun things that I can kind of play with. So that's how I was able to get this expand me section to be part of and tied to this particular question. That's a number question. So I'm saying to the person, to put in one of these 4 numbers. So with that, I made it to where if someone chooses 1, that's the correct answer, and they get this GIF. If they put in 2, they get this. If at first you don't succeed, have some cake. Maybe you should give it another shot. If they put 3, same thing, and if they put 4, same thing, because the right answer is 1. So the way that you do that is the same way that we've been kind of doing before. If you don't succeed, have some cake. So I just duplicated, took off the underscore 2, added some logic, show if mole to boy success is, and then I gave it a value, 3. And then it's 4. And then to love is the correct one. So I said show if mole to boy success is 1. So that's how you can get it to where you have each of these showing up for different things. And then the last one is, what does the horse say is the bravest thing he's ever said? And you can have some help text here. If you click this section for help, then you are brave and have the answer right here. Please capitalize the first letter. So as we saw in the previous section, I can do that by going to settings and then just saying if you clicked on this section, blah, blah, blah. And then you can have a default value. In my case, I didn't want to have one. But I gave it a character minimum and maximum. So I just gave it, I said, I only want 4 characters minimum and 4 characters maximum. So that way, when someone is going to fill this out, if they don't put enough, it says you must type at least 4 characters. And if I say too many, then I can say you cannot type more than 4 characters. So I wanted it to be where the answer is help, but I want them to capitalize it, like I said in the help text here. So I made it to where there's a kickout page. So this is the toolbar which you can collapse and expand. And these are little carrots that make it to where you can open and close the page that you're working on. So if we come over to this one, this is a kickout page. And a kickout page makes it to where instead of having the ability to continue, they are kicked out of the workflow. And that's just the end of the line. So it's just saying this is required. So I have to answer these questions in order to move on. So let's just do that now. So it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. It's just more like for fun anyway. So there's not like a penalty or something. So let me just double check what's happening. So I made it to where if they put in the wrong answer, then they get this page that says, one of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things, the mole. Maybe we could try again. Either use your browser's back button, so here, or right click on this link and select open link in incognito window to try again. And the reason why I do that is because I have code word hex inside of a different platform, in like sort of embedded, you could say, the page inside of another platform's page. So if you try to use your back button for your browser, it takes you out of like the other platform's screen. So I need them to be able to start this over in a fresh window. So I give the instruction to right click and open the link in an incognito window. And then, so that's kind of how, what happens if they answer incorrectly. And just one thing to note here, like I was talking about earlier about the headers needing to be also given the instruction regarding the style. So in our case, I've centered it. So if we look at what's happening here, for example, so I've just said, please center. We're always just having a conversation with the computer. We're just telling it what we would love for it to do for us. So we're saying, please center this header and also style it this way. So in our case, I've said, and then this is the text that we want in the middle. So I'm saying, please center this text, which is an header 1, and style it in the font family Comic Sans, and then stop doing that. So that's kind of how I was able to get this part to be here at the top. It is quite large, so I might make it an H2. Let's just change it to H2. So I've made it an H2. So now it says one of our greatest freedoms is how we react to things, and it's not quite so in your face. And so when we now go back and we want to try again, and we put in the correct answer, which is help with a capital H, then they see this one. There were dark days, but you didn't give up. And this is a Twitter post. So if we go over to Twitter, you can do the same thing like we showed you with the Instagram post, which is you go to the 3 dots and then you just say embed tweet, and then Twitter will take you to this part, and then you can customize it. But if you just wanted to quickly copy that code, you just say copy code, and then you can just quickly go in and paste that in an instruction block or up here at the top or whatever you like. So in my case, I made it to where that's attached to a little bit of logic back on the page that we were working on before. So let's go back to this page. So I have that here at the bottom, this tweet, and I have that saying, show if horse to boy, bravest thing is help with a capital H. So that's how I was able to get that. And then for the page logic of the kickout page, that's up here at the top. So I just said, hide if horse to boy bravest thing is help with a capital H instead of show if. So because there are too many options of what other people could put besides help. So I'm just saying if they have put the correct answer, don't show this page, hide it. So that's how I was able to get that. So when the person puts in the correct answer, they see this tweet from Charlie, and then they can say continue. And then that's the end of the escape room here. So I'm saying I have just a GIF, like we've already shown you how to do that. And then I just say, in the end, the boy discovered that home isn't always a place. Look how far we've come. Be kind to yourself. These are just kind of like lovely messages from Charlie as well. So in my case, I don't have any output documents. I'll do that in a next sort of like in a future video, kind of going deeper into documents. But I just really wanted to demonstrate with this how much you can do inside of this platform without it being document automation. And it's really more about creating things using this really powerful no code editor and blending in and making a hybrid of different pieces of code to produce the result that you want. It's not about like forcing code into a no code editor. It's more about what are you trying to do? And here are a few ways that you can do that. So on this last part, if we go to settings and we say, and I made it to where the final review page is skipped. So if you uncheck this, it's default that there's a review page, but it just makes it where people can change their answers if they want to, but I didn't care for that. And then also you can include a link for the user to continue later where there's going to be like a little button on the bottom or like a little link on the bottom that makes it to where they can have where they left off emailed to them in a link. But I only have one page or so on this one, so it's not too long for someone to need to come back. But you could also change the language. You can do all sorts of stuff. Change the access permissions, change the integrations, and do different webhooks and things like that. So it's up to you. But in our case, we're just going to come here to customize messages. Let's just double check anything else. So these are the different messages that you can change right directly within Documate. This is that to continue later email. This is all these different things. In our case, the default one is the document completion message. And so I usually come in here and I change that. So if we look at what's happening in here and just pull it out into our lovely note here, then what we're saying is this is just the embed that we did with the Giphy So that's just this, which we didn't have to code because we just copied and pasted it. But then if we look at what I did myself is I just centered it. And let me just see. Did I not end the centering? So let's just fix that. It will still work, but it's not like proper to not close it out. So let's just fix that. So I have, let's fix that a little bit. Okay, so I've centered it like this. So I said, please center this H5. So we have the H5 like this. And I'm not sure why I did it this way. Give me 1 second. So I don't know why I did it that way before. I think I was just tired or coding it like kind of late at night or something. But anyway, the point is that this part is just what we copied and pasted from Giphy to create this part here. And then don't worry about the background color right now. Then I have said, in the end, the boy discovered that home isn't always a place. And then I wanted there to have this next line put underneath this other line. So look how far we've come with a heart emoji, be kind to yourself. And then, so I've just told the computer, please put a GIF, this particular one here. Then I want you to center this text here and make it an H5 or a heading 5 size wise. And then I want you to style it. And then this is the same thing we saw earlier in the font family of Comic Sans and so on. So that is how I was able to get this to be the way that that is. And so if we review this all the way from the beginning, you'll see we have our blue, we have our hello, we have our font change, we have our Instagram post embedded straight in the top. We have some text that had the color changed. We have some links. We say continue. We have the YouTube embedded in the top, just using that simple convention that can be played directly here and also made full size if they want to. We have some help text. We have some questions, single select, drop down, multi select. We have some yes, no, some combo boxes, some collapse and expand, a number question, and a text question, all of which have some logic attached to them in the background to make it to where certain things show or hide depending on the answer. So we have a wrong answer and then we have a right answer. We have the same thing here. We have these ones, they're all correct. So we make it to where they can see each of these when they select the correct answer. Then we have yes, no. We have the drop down. The combo box. And then we have the expand and collapse with different selection options here. So I'm going to say the right answer versus a wrong answer. And then we have it to where for this one, we have it to where they get a kick out page if they don't put the correct answer. The correct answer is help, but it needs to be capitalized. So they're going to get taken to a kick out page. The kick out page has a message on the top, a GIF, and then a link at the bottom. So let's go back and put in the correct answer. So when they use the correct capitalization, then they see this tweet, and the tweet is from Charlie saying there were dock days, but you didn't give up. If we continue, then we get to the end of the workflow that says, I'm not going home, not really. In the end, the boy discovered that home isn't always a place. Look how far we've come. Be kind to yourself. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that it was useful to get to look behind the scenes at this particular build. And I will see you in the next video. Remember to be kind to yourself.